Hey friends, it is January 26th. It's a Sunday, and I'm about to engrave one of my custom RC transmitter cases. So we'll do some time lapses and I'll show you how it works. So come on along. So the first thing that we do is I take these blades out of the bottom of the bed of the laser that everything sits up on, and I take them out because I can't get the transmitter cases to be in focus enough for the laser to work, so I have to take everything out so they fit. So the way I start is I start it upright and I line it up. I don't know if you can see that. Line it up so it's straight on the z-axis. I just kind of push it up against it so it's at 90 degrees. And what we'll do is we'll take our laser head, bring it over, and as you can see, it's quite a bit off. So what we do is I have 3D printed a piece, two sizes. One is at 6mm for the 2-inch head, and then 10mm, which is for the 4-inch head, which is what I'm using here, just so I can get the reach out of it. So it's quite a ways off. So what you do is you loosen the head, drop it down so it's nice and low, so it touches that. That's hard to do with one hand. Get it so it touches that 10mm mark. Tighten it up, and we're at 10mm. And then what I do is I have the file in the software set up so that I can set origin right at the corner here. So there's origin, and I will show you how I set it up in Lightburn. So basically how I set up Lightburn is I import an SVG file that I've already created with the right spacing for the engraving. What I do is I measure out the spot on the case that I want to engrave and draw a bounding box in Illustrator, and then anything I want to engrave goes in that box. And as long as I set the origin on the laser correctly, I know that whatever I engrave on the case will fit in that spot. So in Lightburn, I just go and import a file, and I've already got the file named. I call it top front because that's corresponds to the spot on the case that I'm going to engrave. And I'll open that up, and you can see the bounding box that I've drawn, but I disable that in Lightburn so that the laser basically doesn't know it's there. It knows that that's the area that is safe to engrave, but it won't do anything with this piece. The text is pretty simple. It's just a basic text file that I put in there, and I engrave it at 500mm a second with 35% power because it's just enough to get the coating off the case and make it easy to clean. Took a little bit of testing, but this seems to be the right way to go. I don't use high pressure air on it because it tends to bake the residue back into the engraving as it goes, and it makes it really hard to clean. So I don't use air on the engravings. After this, I make sure that the origin is bottom right, and I hit send to send it to the laser. Sometimes it'll yell at me. This time it didn't. So I've named it already chip 1. You just hit OK, and it loads the file and sends it to the laser, and it's ready to go. So we're back at the laser, and it's hard to see, but I've got Chip's name engraving ready to go. So I've already set origin. So this is where I set origin, is in the bottom right corner, and I've pressed origin on the laser already, but I'm doing it again just to make sure. And then I'll hit the frame button, and it will basically draw a border around what it's going to engrave. So if I hit that, this shows me a boundary box of where Chip's name is going to be on the case. So I usually will do it a couple times just to get a good sense of whether or not it's centered on the case. And it looks like it is. So we've got to turn our exhaust fan on. So give it about halfway, let that start up, get some air flowing out. Fan starts up. I don't know if you can hear it or not, but it's ready to go. So we'll shut the door. And oh yeah, we got to turn our compressor on. So we've got some air. If I don't have air flowing through this, smoke and debris can make its way up into the nozzle. And if that happens, the lens that's in here can get dirty and cause damage, and we don't want that. So I have to make sure there's air coming through the unit while it's engraving. So now that it's got a little bit of air pressure, we can go ahead and start it. As you can see, it's pretty quick. And right now I'm wearing laser goggles, so I'm protected. I can still leave this open and my eyes are okay. Otherwise I would have the door to this. See how this is open? That is usually covered by this door, but it's easier for me to handle the cases while I'm engraving them, and instead of having to take the door off every single time I engrave, I can just leave it off and wear my goggles. So that's almost done. And that is how we do that. So that's just a quick tutorial on how I do the cases. I'll do the front, the rear, and then what I do is I change the laser head from the 4-inch to the 2-inch, because when I turn the cases on its side, it's too tall for the 4-inch lens, so I switch it to the 2-inch, and it gives me just enough clearance to focus it right so that the engraving is perfect. So I'll take you along. I'll show you some quick time lapses of the engravings, and then when it's done, I'll show you what it looks like after it's all cleaned up. So after we're done engraving the case, the laser leaves residue on the case from all the burnt material off of it. So what we end up doing is I'll get a microfiber rag and soak it with alcohol and wipe down the case, and you'll see. Hang on just a second. Let me see if I can flip you around here. There we go. So you can see how dirty that all looks, right? Go around this way. It's not really dirty. I mean, it's got a pretty good residue on it, and it just doesn't look great. So, yeah, I'm gonna sit you back down here. See if I can show you. I grab a rag real quick. Show you guys what this looks like. Grab the rag. Get a nice clean microfiber. And denatured alcohol. And get it nice and saturated. I don't usually spray it. It's just easier just to soak a rag in it, for me anyway. So we'll go just wipe it all down, get all any kind of residue off that from the engraving. Man, that looks so much better already. It doesn't take much. It's just a couple good wipes. Don't need to put a lot of force on it. All a good wipe down. Oh man, that looks cool. It really shines bright. It's bare aluminum. It looks like bare brushed aluminum. A couple spots are a little tough, but that looks awesome. That's what the rag looks like when it's done. So close up the alcohol and flip you guys back around here. So now, nice and shiny. And it is a permanent engraving. And I'll probably wipe it down again before I send it off to chip. But yeah, man, it sure shines when it's all cleaned up. So that's how I engrave one of the custom transmitter cases. Let me know if anybody has any questions, and if you do, shoot it to me at mike@creativecuttingandengraving.com, and I'll see you in the next one.